Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for another quick little presentation on information about EEOC compliance and the EEO1 filing requirements. This is probably something that you don't deal with all that often, but it is important, and especially for larger organizations, it can get non-compliance can get pretty sticky. So I'm Bruce, and I've been with Atrix Software for a long time, excuse me, for 20 years, and it is quite interesting that over 20 years of dealing with payroll solutions and payroll reporting solutions. Sorry, I dropped my mouse. Did a little jump there. How much everything has changed, and the EEOC is another one of those things that that continues to develop. So we'll get going a little bit. There isn't a whole lot to this, but we'll cover the general points of it. On the 29th, EEOC basically shut down. They made an announcement, and they're getting their they're going to open up their 2022 information gathering dates this fall instead of mid-July. It typically goes from mid-July to and then is due by September 30th. They're in the middle of their mandatory 3-year renewal of the EEO1 data collection process and report. So if you go to their website right now, you really can't get any information. There's really nothing there that essentially just says, hey, we're closed. And so when they do open it, there will be an announcement about it, and you'll be able to get particulars on it. EEOC compliance, for those of you that deal with it, is just making certain that the government is aware of your hiring practices and what the nature of your racial breakdown and job breakdown is for your organization, to make sure you are meeting the standards that they have set. So we're going to go through, whether or not you have to file one, some of the basics of what the EEO statement contains. If you're a first-time filer and you've never done it, we'll talk a little bit about that. How you can go about collecting that data for the report, how to actually go about filing it, and then talk a little bit about how to expand your data collection and storage process to make sure that if you're ever audited or whatever, you have the information that you need. So who has to file? If you have over 100 employees, you have to file the EEO1 report. Now, any employer with over 15 people has to comply with the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which is what EEOC handles. That's the organization that monitors compliance with that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. And again, that's just to make certain that you're not discriminating based on sex, race, and all those good things, so that you need to have that information. So if you have less than 100 employees, but you're owned by an affiliated company with more than 100 employees, still got to file. So, and then there's weird situations if you're issuing as a paying agent for U.S. saving bonds or service. I'm sure that doesn't apply to a whole lot of you. So if you have any of those, if you meet any of those things, you do have to file. But essentially, if you have 100 employees, you do have to file this report. The basics is, the filing does typically open mid-July, and of course that's, again, as we mentioned, is being pushed back this year, and the deadline's on the 30th. So this year it's likely to open sometime in September or October, and then be due by the end of the year. So it does have to be filed electronically. You can get a waiver in order to file paper, but the process of getting that waiver is far more involved than just go ahead and filing it electronically. So plan on filing the EEO1 as, electronically. There are solutions out there available for that process, or the federal site. Single establishment employees file a single EEO1. If you have more than one location or more than one company, you'll typically have to file multiple EEO1s based on for each of those entities, so that you're meeting those guidelines for each of those owned entities. Your first time filer requirement, really the only thing that is a requirement is you get an ID. You got to get a login and a password in order to process that. Even if you're using a third-party processor, for example, Atrix, you do need to still go to the site and get a login and password that you can provide to the filer, or the individual that's taking care of it for you, so that you can file. This process takes a little while, so it wouldn't be a terrible thing to do it right now and get it done with, and be ready to go when they begin to open up that data collection process. They'll send you an email with that information and stuff on it. It's best to keep a copy of that, just because you're not going to deal with it very often. It's a once a year kind of thing, and those logins get lost and misplaced, so keep it available. So the employment data you have to collect. You do that for one pay period during the year. Now, the good news is you get to pick whatever pay period you want to pick. So, you know, whatever pay period is typical or the easiest for you, you'll have to just decide that this is the pay period we're going to look at. Self-identification by employees. This comes down to them telling you what their race is. You really can't fill out the report and say, you know, okay, this person is Asian, or this person is Black. You have to collect that information from them, and that has to be done by the corporate company and a parent company. So you do have that. There are ways, if they simply refuse to give you that information, you can go ahead and provide that identification, but that won't fly very well during audits. They want the employees to identify. So that's important that you do that. So you'll have to provide a form to them that they fill out, and then that goes to the headquarters or parent company to collect that information. The employer is allowed, again, to complete that data if for some reason the employee just says, I'm not going to tell you. So you can do that under certain circumstances. So what you'll need to know is their job classification. You know, are they a senior level or official manager, mid-level, officers, professionals, technicians, sales workers, administrative support workers, craft workers, operatives, labor and help, or service workers. So you'll need to classify your employees into one of these categories when you fill out the report. The little thing says what's their job, and you'll have to put in that job classification. And again, once their website is up and operating, there is a list and a little help to give you a better clue of where exactly your employee may fit, what classifies as their job, with more particulars than just this list here. So yeah, this is what you get for the understanding this information. So that's what it's going to look like. And it's going to be interesting because something disappeared. Sorry, folks. I may have lost my presentation here for some reason. Yeah, this is not good. Say, Carrie, would you like to jump back on? And we'll have to figure out exactly what is going on here. We may have to reschedule, folks. I apologize. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to reschedule because it disappeared.
Do you want to just click on it in Slack?
I can give it a try.
I don't know if it'll open it again.
I don't know. Do we know where it is?
Yeah, here. Copy link. Okay, there's the link.
Well, I think we have it here. It's very interesting. Okay, here we go, folks. Sorry about that. I apologize. And collecting data. There we go. We're past that. There's your list again of professionals. And okay, collecting data. So for the race categories, again, you can go to the website. You can't do it right now because they're closed. But when it comes time to fill out this report, you can, there's more specific information again of how to classify your employees by race. So, you know, Hispanic or Latino, white, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, Asian, American Indian or Alaskan Native, or two or more races combined. So those, again, you're going to want to have that be self-identified by the employee. So the employee is going, you give them the form, they'll choose what they identify with, and that's what you'll go ahead and select when you're going through that. In order to submit the EEO1 report, excuse me, first of all, make sure you meet, you are required so that you have 100 employees. Make sure you're registered. Again, get your login and information. Make sure you have all your employees classified. Make sure you've got your self-identification for your employees for a race. And then the form is pretty straightforward after that. Each of those categories will be listed, and you can get that form again from the EEOC, or again, if you're using a service or whatever, they'll provide you that information to go ahead and file it. Now, to submit it, you'll either go through the federal system, which is clunky and painful, or you can use some other solution or service to help you complete that. It's not a bad idea to have a professional who handles EEOC filing do it for you, or make certain that you at least have a software support for it so that it makes sure that all the information fields are filled out properly, and so you've got exactly what you have. Make sure you keep copies, because the audit process can be really painful if you don't have records. If you don't, and they always compare year to year. So you're going to want to have a history of these reports as you have filed them. So anytime you're dealing with a federal agency, obviously compliance is a huge thing and shouldn't be ignored. The EEOC is a little bit different in that there are no set direct fines or penalties for failure to comply or failure to file. But if they find out that you have not filed or that you have filed incorrectly, they can, typically what they'll do is they'll go to a court and they'll compel you. They'll say you have to file this. And if you fail to file that, then things get real ugly real quickly, because you now are in a criminal case. It's no longer just a compliance issue. with a federal agency for that's going to cost you money. I don't remember the last time I heard of somebody going to jail for this, but it is something that is a real possibility, that if you fail to comply, and then if they compel you and take you to court, if you decide not to fill it out, I would recommend moving somewhere because they will find you, and the consequences can get very, very big very, very quickly, and it can include jail time. So don't take it lightly. Make sure you get this done. It's a fairly easy form to fill out. It's purely an informational report. It's not something that when you fill it out, okay, now you're going to have to pay this amount of money for it or whatever. Typically, you don't even get really anything back except for a confirmation that you filed it. But if for some reason you are audited, or if somebody, an employee of yours, files a claim against you, then it can get pretty particular pretty quickly. So overall, don't leave it to chance. Make sure you comply. It's not that difficult to do. Again, I would recommend having an HR solution or a payroll reporting solution that offers that report and allows you to e-file it directly from your payroll data, so that you know it's complete, you know it's all there. So you should have a detailed idea of what your hiring practices are. Somebody in your organization, obviously, if you're large enough to have an HR department, that person needs to know and have a record of what you've used in order to market your openings, what your interview process is, what your onboarding processes are. You really need to have that detailed and have that figured out. And that's just a good idea to have anyway. But for purposes of EEOC compliance, again, that becomes very important if, in fact, you ever get audited. Taking a look at your applicant data it can help you correct some mistakes fairly quickly. If you run an ad for a job and you find out that you had 32 applicants and they were all 40-year-old white males, you probably have an issue. You probably want to broaden where you're marketing this, what devices you're using. I don't think you're going to find that to be the case, but you can find and correct mistakes fairly quickly if you just take a little time every year to look at, what we only hired, 22 new people. Don't just look at the 22 people you hired necessarily, but look at the whole pool of applicants that you had. Are you getting a diverse group of individuals to select from? And then again, if you are selecting just one predominant type, then you may want to look at your hiring practices as well. So you can look for software to help you with this stuff. There are HR solutions that will track applicants and give you some general, give you the ability to put together general reports so that you can analyze those and take a look at them. Well, there you go. Sorry about the big hiccup. It's always something, folks. I don't know. It's about every other one of these things that we have something go boom. Check us out on YouTube. We've done a number of these presentations. We've done them on certified payroll reports. We've done them on, multi-state filing in the gig economy. We've done presentations on pay cards and wage access topics. We just did one recently on I-9. That was it's a pretty interesting thing. So here's what you got. This is what we do. We put together one of these typically a month. So check out our YouTube, atrix.com, and you should be able to find our little presentations and take a second look if you'd like. And you'll be able to maybe learn a thing or two. Got any questions? You can chase me down, Bruce S. at atrix.com, and I'll do what I can in order to answer any questions, and we can go from there. Thank you very much again for attending, folks. I had fun. it's always neat to have something blow up. So why not? Have a good day. Thank you again. Bye-bye.